craving a taste of nostalgia? Join us as we bring back the timeless comfort foods that Grandma used to make, with creamy, cheesy, and mouth-watering dishes you won't be able to resist. Broccoli cheese casserole. Going to Grandma's house was always something special. There'd be laughter, stories, and most importantly, comforting home-cooked food. While we can't flip through her old cookbooks anymore, join us as we revisit 20 classic comfort dishes you were guaranteed to enjoy at Grandma's. First up, broccoli cheese casserole. This cozy classic, also known as broccoli cheese bake, was the ultimate veggie surprise. Let's face it, kids didn't exactly cheer for vegetables at dinner time. Broccoli? Usually a no-go, but add a rich cheese sauce and suddenly it was everyone's favorite. This casserole's secret weapon was the melty cheddar that smothered the fresh or frozen broccoli florets. Top it off with cheese crackers for a crunchy contrast, and boom, magic in a casserole dish. Warm, creamy, and endlessly comforting, it was a perfect side dish for any meal. Brunch, lunch, or dinner. The main players? Broccoli florets, cheddar cheese, milk, cream, and eggs. Some even tossed in crispy bacon, because honestly, bacon just makes everything better. Broccoli cheese casserole wasn't just a dish, it was a trick that turned picky eaters into veggie lovers. But if this cheesy green goodness isn't quite your thing, stick around, because the next one might just be your new favorite. Collard greens with ham hocks. With the holiday season rolling in, there was one dish that always found its way to the table: collard greens with ham hocks. Now, leafy greens like cabbage and collards weren't exactly a kid's dream meal, but when Grandma simmered them with smoky ham hocks, suddenly no one was complaining. This southern staple was more than just a recipe. It was a piece of history. The roots of collard greens go back to the enslaved Africans who brought both the seeds and the soulful cooking methods with them to the American South. As for the ham hocks, those were the leftover cuts of meat that slaves were forced to make do with, and somehow turned into something unforgettable. Over time, this humble dish became a holiday and Sunday dinner tradition, bringing families together around the table with its rich aroma and bold flavors. The collards start out slightly bitter, but after being slow cooked with ham hocks for hours, they transform into something deeply savory and tender. The smoky meat seasons the greens from the inside out, and every bite tells a story. Comforting, nutritious, and full of flavor, this dish fed both the body and the soul. And just when you thought it couldn't get better, pair it with cornbread or a splash of hot sauce, and you've got a meal that sings. But now we're heading to the coast for a different kind of southern classic. One that brings seafood and soul together in one bowl: shrimp and grits. Shrimp and grits. Seafood might be a luxury on restaurant menus today, but back in the day, Grandma could whip up a seafood masterpiece right in her kitchen and do it better than any five-star chef. Shrimp and grits was a low country classic, born along the coastal shores of South Carolina and Georgia. Shrimp were plentiful in the south, and grits, a warm, creamy porridge made from ground corn, were already a household staple. Together, they made magic. Traditionally served for breakfast by fishermen and their families, the dish eventually made its way into everyday southern kitchens, becoming a comfort food favorite for lunch or dinner too. It was the kind of meal that felt fancy, but was incredibly simple to make. Just 30 minutes and a handful of ingredients: milk, butter, chicken broth, and cheese for the grits. Tender shrimp sautéed to perfection on top. And while the classic version was hard to beat, there were endless ways to dress it up. Some recipes added sausage or bacon for a smoky kick. Others brought in different cheeses or veggies for a twist. Grits even played well with fried catfish or salmon croquettes. But no matter the variation, one thing stayed the same: Shrimp and grits brought warmth, flavor, and a little coastal charm to every bite. Think that was comforting? Just wait until you see what's next. An old school pot of goodness that simmered all day long. Pinto beans with ham. Pinto beans with ham next up. We're diving into a pot of slow simmered comfort. Pinto beans with ham. There was something magical about a pot of beans bubbling away on the stove all afternoon. The smell alone could draw the whole family into the kitchen. Of all the beans out there, pinto beans were the go-to. Loaded with fiber, full of flavor, and oh so filling, they were a southern favorite through and through. Pinto beans have deep roots, first cultivated over 5,000 years ago in Mexico and Peru. But it was in southern kitchens that they found a new identity, especially when paired with rich, smoky ham hocks, Grandma's love. This dish, because it was hearty, budget-friendly, and almost cooked itself. Once the dried beans were soaked and tossed into the pot, with onions, ham hocks, bay leaves, and a good pour of chicken broth, the magic began. Slow cooking turned the beans tender. The onions melted into the broth, and the ham flavored every bite. Towards the end, a little garlic powder, salt, and pepper brought everything together. It was the kind of meal that didn't need much, but still delivered big on taste. Serve it up with a buttery slice of cornbread for dipping, and you've got southern soul in a bowl. It even freezes well, which meant Grandma could make it ahead and always be ready to feed a hungry crowd. And if you liked this comforting classic, get ready, because next up is a dessert that brought warmth and sweetness to every southern home. Slow-cooked bread pudding, meatloaf with mashed potatoes. Now this right here, meatloaf with mashed potatoes, was the kind of dinner that brought everyone running to the table. Potatoes have always been a staple of American kitchens, but when Grandma paired them with a juicy, tender meatloaf and broiled that creamy topping until golden. That wasn't just dinner, that was comfort on a plate. This classic combo first became a hit in the 1950s, when the Good Housekeeping Cookbook introduced the idea of a frosted meatloaf, a hearty loaf of seasoned ground meat, topped with mashed potatoes and baked to perfection. It was the perfect way for homemakers to stretch ingredients, fill bellies, and impress guests, all in one dish. The meatloaf itself could be made with beef, pork, or turkey, held together with eggs and butters to keep it moist and sliceable. And the potatoes? Creamy, buttery, and fluffy, exactly how they were meant to be. Once the loaf was topped and broiled, the result was a crisp, golden crust that sealed in all that savory goodness. Regional spins made it even more fun. Down south, folks added a dash of barbecue sauce, while northern kitchens leaned into ketchup for that sweet tang. But no matter the twist, the soul of the dish stayed the same: warm, hearty, and made with love. And if you thought this was peak potato, just wait. Up next is a crispy, creamy favorite that doubled down on spots in the best way: twice baked potatoes. Brown butter sweet potato pie. There are pies, and then there's brown butter sweet potato pie. A dessert so rich, so silky, and so packed with old school soul that just one bite could transport you straight to Grandma's kitchen. This classic is a true southern treasure, especially beloved in African American households where sweet potatoes have long held a special place at the holiday table. But what really set this version apart was the brown butter. Toasty, nutty, and just a little caramelized. It gave the pie a deep, warm flavor that wrapped around the sweet potato like a cozy blanket. Buttermilk biscuits. There's something about the scent of fresh buttermilk biscuits baking in the oven that instantly makes you feel at home. Soft, flaky, and golden on the outside, yet warm and tender on the inside. These biscuits were the unsung heroes of Grandma's kitchen, showing up at breakfast, dinner, and every meal in between. Grandma's biscuits were a work of art. It all started with the basics: self-rising flour, cold butter, and rich buttermilk. Simple ingredients, but when mixed just right, they turned into little bites of heaven. The key was in the handling. You couldn't rush it. Gently folding the dough together, not overworking it, and then patting it out to the perfect thickness. The magic happened when they hit the hot oven, rising perfectly, with that signature golden crust that made you reach for one before they even finished baking. When they came out of the oven, they were fluffy and tender, just begging for a pat of butter or a drizzle of honey. Some days they were slathered with jam, other days with sausage gravy, but they were always a comforting companion to whatever was on the plate. And don't even get us started on the leftovers, if there were any. The next morning, those biscuits were perfect split in half and toasted with a bit of butter or made into a breakfast sandwich with eggs and bacon. But no matter how you enjoyed them, there was always one thing that was certain. Grandma's buttermilk biscuits were always made with love, and that's what made them so unforgettable. Meatloaf with mashed potatoes. There's a certain magic in combining two comfort food staples, meatloaf and mashed potatoes. This dish was a favorite at Grandma's table, making its debut in the 1950s, when the Good Housekeeping Cookbook introduced the idea of a frosted meatloaf topped with creamy mashed potatoes and baked until golden. It became an instant hit, offering a hearty, satisfying meal that families could gather around after a long day. Mashed potatoes have always been a cornerstone of American cooking. With their creamy texture and versatility, they could pair with nearly anything. But when they were smothered on top of a well-seasoned, juicy meatloaf, the combination was nothing short of divine. To make this dish, all you need is the perfect meatloaf mix. Ground beef, pork, or even turkey will work. Blend it with eggs and butter to ensure it stays together. The mashed potatoes add a rich, creamy topping that melts into the meatloaf, creating a comforting, dreamlike texture. This dish has many regional variations. Southern meatloaf might be made with zesty barbecue sauce, while northern versions might prefer the tang of ketchup. The possibilities are endless, but one thing is certain. The savory meatloaf paired with velvety mashed potatoes is always a crowd pleaser. And if you're looking to make this dish even more indulgent, why not throw in an extra serving of potatoes? Enter twice-baked potatoes, a perfect side to complete this classic meal. Twice-baked potatoes. If you grew up in the 1980s, you'll remember these twice-baked potatoes as the ultimate indulgence. This dish took a humble potato and transformed it into something extraordinary. Mashed potatoes stuffed back into their crispy skins and baked twice for extra flavor and texture. To make them, start by slicing russet potatoes in half and scooping out the insides, leaving just enough of the potato to hold its shape. Then mix the potato filling with delicious ingredients like crispy bacon, cheddar cheese, sour cream, and chives. The result? A creamy, cheesy filling that's packed with flavor. Once stuffed, top the potatoes with a bit more cheese, sprinkle them with paprika, and broil until golden brown. The crispy edges and cheesy, creamy interior make them the perfect side dish to meatloaf, adding an extra layer of comfort and warmth. Brown butter sweet potato pie. Nothing captures the heart of Southern comfort quite like brown butter sweet potato pie. This dish is a perfect blend of warmth, sweetness, and spice. It's the kind of pie that transports you right to Grandma's kitchen, where the smell of toasty brown butter fills the air, making your mouth water before you even take a bite. The key to this pie is the brown butter. Its nutty caramelized flavor gives the filling a depth of richness that pairs perfectly with the natural sweetness of the sweet potatoes. The result is a velvety smooth filling that melts in your mouth, enhanced by a perfect blend of spices like cinnamon, nutmeg, and a touch of citrus zest. Sweet potato pie has long been a staple in African American homes, often referred to as a black people's pie, with its rich flavors and historical roots. It's not just the flavor that makes this pie stand out though. Its deep orange filling is a sight to behold, made even more delightful when garnished with a dollop of whipped cream or a scoop of vanilla ice cream. To make the pie, start by using garnered sweet potatoes for their bright orange flesh, which gives the pie its beautiful color and creamy texture. A drizzle of maple syrup adds just the right amount of sweetness, perfectly complementing the earthiness of the potatoes. The buttery, flaky crust cradles the rich, spiced filling, and with a hint of fresh orange zest, this pie comes to life in a way that will have you reminiscing about cozy family gatherings. Buttermilk biscuits. Now, if there's one thing that could bring the warmth of home to any meal, it's buttermilk biscuits. These soft, flaky biscuits are everything you want in a comfort food. Quick, simple, and irresistibly delicious. Ready in less than 40 minutes, they're the perfect side dish or snack that you can pack in your kids' lunchboxes or serve at dinner. Made with just 3 simple ingredients: flour, baking powder, and salt, these biscuits are a testament to the beauty of simplicity in Grandma's kitchen. The key is cold butter, which is cut into the dry ingredients until it forms coarse crumbs. Then the addition of buttermilk and a little bit of honey brings it all together into a soft dough. Once mixed, it's all about layering. Form the dough into a rectangle, fold it to create layers, and cut out your biscuits. The result is a soft, flaky texture with golden brown edges that practically melt in your mouth. Bake them in a cast iron skillet or on parchment paper, and be sure to brush the tops with a honey butter glaze for that final touch of sweetness. These biscuits are perfect on their own or paired with anything from gravy to jam. They also freeze well, making them a handy go-to when you need a taste of home. Butternut squash, mac and cheese. Let's dive into a cozy, creamy dish. Butternut squash, mac and cheese. Looking for that perfect fall comfort food? Look no further. This dish brings a sweet and nutty twist to the classic mac and cheese, making it the ultimate comfort meal for those chilly months of September through November. Mac and cheese has always been a beloved staple in American cuisine, but the addition of roasted butternut squash takes it to the next level. The sweetness of the squash pairs beautifully with the rich cheese sauce, making it a hit, especially with those looking for something a little different. To make it, roast or steam your squash, then blend it into a smooth puree to mix into the cheesy sauce. Once your sauce is ready, stir in some milk to get a smooth consistency. Toss with cooked pasta and season to taste. It'll be extra saucy at first. But don't worry, the pasta starches will thicken everything during baking. Pop it into the oven, bake for 30 minutes. Then let it rest before serving. Serve it with your favorite salad for a complete meal. Sausage gravy and biscuits. Now let's talk about one of the most comforting southern classics, sausage gravy and biscuits. This dish, beloved by many, is as satisfying as it is simple. Originating after the American Revolutionary War, it was born out of necessity, with basic ingredients like milk, flour, salt, and pepper. Biscuits and gravy became a quick, filling meal for hard-working families, and it soon turned into a popular breakfast dish. Over time, diners perfected their versions, but no one could top Grandma's homemade gravy. Start by browning 1 pound of pork sausage, then stir in flour and milk to create a thick, creamy gravy. Season with salt and pepper, then serve generously over warm split biscuits. This dish has been a staple for generations, bringing comfort and warmth to countless family gatherings. Baked ziti. Next up, we've got baked ziti, a cheesy, beefy pasta casserole you're going to love. This Italian-American classic became a favorite because of its simple yet irresistible combination of ziti pasta, tomato sauce, cheese, and seasonings. Baked ziti was often made with ricotta, mozzarella, and sometimes parmesan, creating a melty, cheesy masterpiece. It could also be enhanced with ground meat, sausage, mushrooms, or peppers. Layer it all in a baking dish, top with mozzarella cheese, and bake until bubbly and golden. This dish has its roots in Naples, Italy, where it was served at weddings and special occasions, and over time, it became a go-to comfort food in American homes. Whether it's Sunday dinner or a special family gathering, baked ziti always makes a lasting impression. Pot roast. If you're a fan of tender, slow-cooked meats, then pot roast is for you. This American classic, also known as Yankee pot roast, has been a beloved meal for generations. Using cuts of beef like brisket or chuck roast, the meat is slowly simmered with vegetables like carrots, potatoes, and onions until it's melt in your mouth tender. The secret is the collagen in the meat, which breaks down during slow cooking, creating a rich, flavorful broth. While its origins can be traced back to French immigrants, pot roast became a staple in American homes, especially during the holidays or big family meals. It's a dish, Southern skillet cornbread. Let's move on to Southern skillet cornbread, a rich, buttery and moist cornbread that's baked to perfection in a cast iron skillet. This cornbread is the epitome of comfort food, with its golden brown crispy edges and soft, tender crumb. Made with simple ingredients like cornmeal, flour, buttermilk and butter, it's the perfect side dish for any meal. The contrast between the crispy exterior and soft interior makes it irresistible, especially when served hot from the oven. To make it, whisk together your dry ingredients, mix with the wet ingredients, and pour the batter into a hot, greased skillet. Bake until golden, then slice and enjoy. Mashed potatoes with gravy. Who can resist creamy, buttery mashed potatoes with rich gravy? This classic comfort food has been a family favorite for generations. Whether served alongside a roast or as the star of the meal, mashed potatoes are a staple in many households. The origins of mashed potatoes are debated, but they quickly became popular across Europe due to their affordability and versatility. Paired with homemade gravy, this dish brings warmth and satisfaction to any table. The gravy, made from the flavorful drippings of roasted meat, adds depth and richness to the creamy potatoes. Together, they create a comforting meal that's perfect for any occasion. King Ranch Chicken Casserole. Next, we have King Ranch Chicken Casserole, a Texan classic that's as hearty as it is easy to make. This casserole combines chicken, cheese, tortillas, and creamy soup to create a filling dish that's perfect for family dinners or potlucks. Named after the famous King Ranch in Texas, this dish became a favorite in the 1950s and is known for its comforting flavors and ease of preparation. The layers of tender chicken, cheese, and tortillas come together beautifully in just about an hour. It's a crowd pleaser at any gathering and a dish that Grandma was always happy to make for her family. Squash casserole. Squash casserole is another southern favorite that's both comforting and nutritious. Made with fresh squash, onions, cheese, and a crunchy cracker topping, This casserole is a beloved side dish at family gatherings. Squash was often in abundance during harvest time, and this casserole was the perfect way to use it up. The sweet, tender squash pairs perfectly with the creamy, cheesy sauce and crispy topping. This dish is versatile, making it a great side or even a main course. Whether it was served at church suppers or family reunions, squash casserole always brought people together around the tables. Shepherd's pie. Last but certainly not least, we have shepherd's pie, a hearty, comforting meal that's perfect for any family gathering. Traditionally made with lamb and topped with creamy mashed potatoes, this dish has been a family favorite for generations. The savory filling, made from minced meat, herbs and sometimes gravy, is topped with a thick layer of mashed potatoes and baked until golden. Shepherd's pie was originally a way to use up leftovers, but over time it became a beloved staple in many households. Whether made with lamb or beef, it's a dish that always satisfies and brings a warm, comforting feel to any dinner table. That wraps up our nostalgic look at some of Grandma's favorite dishes. Which one was your favorite? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more delicious memories. Thanks for watching.